Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Ain't Free. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how much money do you need to save to be able to retire in the next 10 years if you're starting from scratch. We're going to give you the max out your 401k, IRA, qualified plan strategy in order to put yourself in a position to be ready to retire in the next 10 years. My name is Joel Hughey. I am the principal at ARC Financial Strategies, where predicting the rain doesn't count, building the ARC does. We want to help you put together a plan or a strategy to get to financial freedom. We define financial freedom from the perspective of income. If I've got a $2 million portfolio and I can get an 8% return on that portfolio on average, I got $160,000 a year in income coming in. I am financially free. So basically, when you're looking to invest for long-term standings or retirement standings, or I like to refer to it as financial freedom standing, the typical strategy, our clients are Henrys. They're high earners, not rich yet. And we're putting our effort and energy into our careers, focusing our attention on climbing the corporate ladder, and that's where the bulk of our attention and creativity goes. So the rest of their lives are basically wrapped up in their employer-sponsored plans. So if you're investing through your employer-sponsored plan, there's some rules. So an employer-sponsored plan, be a 401k, a 403b, those types of strategies are referred to as employer-sponsored plans. They're also referred to as qualified plans. And so you don't own the plan, you own the money. Your employer owns the plan. So your 401k or your 403b are simply IRS designations. It tells the IRS whether they can tax you now or whether they're going to be taxing you later on your gains, if you have any. If you lose money in these strategies, there's no taxes due because you didn't earn any gains, right? With the exception of the tax that would be due on your initial investment, right? So the strategy here is to take money out of your paycheck, reduce the taxes that you're paying today, and push that tax bill into the future. That's the tax strategy on your 401k or your qualified plan. Now, after that, you have to choose an investment vehicle, whether that's going to be a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, whether you're going to invest in the company stock, in the company that you work for. Underneath your 401k, your 403b is going to be an investment. And here is where most Henrys kind of get off track a little bit. Misunderstanding. Just because you put money into the 401k system, you just deferred your taxes. You have to pick the right investment underneath that inside of your 401k to actually get you where you want to go long term. So when you're looking at those individual options that are within that strategy, I want you to use three measuring rods, right? Three measuring rods. So the first measuring rod I want you to do when you look at all of the investment choices that you have there is what's the rate of return, right? So how much of a return has that mutual fund provided over the length of time that it's been in existence? So that would be referred to as a since inception fee, right? Since inception rate. So if the fund's been in existence for 20 years and it's returned 8% on average over that 20 years, that's its since inception rate of return. So first thing I want you to do is pull up the list, look at all the choices, and see what those rate of returns are. The second thing I want you to look at is how long has the fund been in existence, right? So if the fund's been in existence for 2 years and, it's giving you this great return, well, it hadn't been around that long, right? Is it going to be able to hold that over the 10-year, 15-year, 20-year window you need? So you need to know how long has the fund been in existence. And then the last thing you want to know is how much does it cost, right? So mutual fund investing is not free. We do not work for free. So you're paying a money manager to manage that money and make those decisions on your behalf. So you need to know how much am I paying, right? I tell my clients all the time, I don't mind paying more. I just want to get more if I pay more, right? So I want to get a better return if I'm paying more for a better return. So you want to analyze how much does this fund cost and that in comparison to the return that I'm getting. So those are the first three steps you're going to go through in putting together your plan to max out your strategy. the next piece of the puzzle you're going to need to work on is figuring out how much is your employer match. Does your employer match dollar for dollar? Does your employer match 50 cents on the dollar? Does your employer match 25 cents on the dollar, right? And then up to what percentage of your income? So as an example, if your employer matches 3% and you make $100,000 a year, then your employer is going to be putting in $3,000 a year if you put in $3,000 a year, right? So you want to know how much your employer match is, and that is going to factor into your max out strategy, okay? So we want to put together our base portfolio. We want to put together a base retirement plan over a 10-year window utilizing just our tax-deferred strategies, right? So, and by the way, don't forget to subscribe. We want to make sure that you've maxed out the program that you have from your employer in the match program. So now, here's the maximum amount that you can put into a 401k in 2026, and I'm also going to give you the maximum that you could put into an IRA in 2026 because those two together make up your qualified plan strategy. And if you want to get an individualized strategy put together, you want to have your 401k reviewed, we will do that for you. There's a link in the description. You can click on that link, schedule an appointment. We'll review your 401k for you. We'll show you how to analyze the cost. We'll show you how to analyze the investment strategies and help you understand where you should put your money and maximize the strategy. So if you're under the age of 50, the maximum amount of money you can put in your 401k in 2026 is $24,500. The maximum amount you can put in an IRA, an individual retirement account, which would be a tax-deferred strategy that you own, is $7,500. You add those two numbers together, you could save $32,000 a year in addition to whatever your employer match is. So let's say you're making that $100,000 a year, your employer is going to put in another $3,000 on top of that, right? So that's $35,000 a year if you're under the age of 50 that you could save, right? Over a 10-year window of time, you would have saved $350,000. If you put that money into an aggressive growth fund like the American funds, right, that money's going to double for you in that window of time. If you're over the age of 50, the maximum amount you can put into your 401k is $32,500. The maximum amount you can put into your IRA is $8,600. That's $41,100 per year that you can save. Over a 10-year window of time, you would have saved over $400,000. Again, utilizing the American Funds Growth Funds or a growth fund strategy, you're going to turn that money into your base retirement strategy, putting yourself in a position to be able to retire in that short 10-year window of time. Okay, so the focus being on choosing the right funds. Second focus being on maxing out the strategies and utilizing your employer match as that safe buffer to go along with the volatility, right, that's going to come from the funds over that 10-year window of time. And you got to take into consideration the volatility, but you're trying to accomplish something in a very short window of time, so you're going to have to take on more risk in order to do that. If you're unsure about how to measure the risk, if you're unsure about how to understand the volatility, we want to encourage you to book a session, and we will walk you through and explain all of those pieces of the puzzle. In addition to that, also, there's another link to the Financial Freedom Institute, right? The Financial Freedom Institute is a program I put together to help you understand all the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding necessary to look at each one of these individual pieces of the puzzle and get a full understanding. We want to encourage you, join us. Join the school. It's $299 for an entire year. There are well over 10 hours worth of videos there for you as well, and you can sit down and go through them one at a time and get a deep dive and a deep understanding. Now, this video, we've been talking about how much do you need to save to be able to retire in 10 years, maxing out your 401k strategy. So if you're under the age of 50, that's $32,000 plus the employer match. If you're over the age of 50, $41,100 per year is the tool, maxing out the tool, putting you in a position to get there in 10 years. So your question might be to me, hey, Joe, right, how do I save $40,000 a year? How do I save $32,000 a year and still able to live the lifestyle that I want to live? Well, one of the strategies that we teach at the ARC Financial Strategies is reallocating dollars and resources into a more enhanced strategy. So if you have debt payments that you're currently working on, we're going to show you how to get out of debt in 9 years or less, and then we can take those dollars that we were spending on credit cards and car payments and mortgages and use that money, right, in order to max out and build out our 10-year retirement plan and strategy, right? So I'm out of debt. And I have a great retirement plan and strategy put together. So if you want more information about that program or that plan, check out this video right here, and we're going to walk you through all of those pieces of the puzzle and make sure that you are in a position to have a great retirement. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Freedom Ain't Free. My name is Joel Hughey. We look forward to seeing you next time.